You know what I see so much of are comparisons of dogs to other animals that we need to treat better, especially farm animals. Like, the only difference is your perception, or, they're both sentient animals, they both deserve our love. If you are friends with one, why eat the other? And of course, we're talking about dogs, and I'm thinking, yeah, dogs. The gold standard of how another species wants to be treated. And this gets really dark because no one is prepared to admit that they are not a good dog owner. But you take a step back and look at the dog's life through the dog's eyes, and it's a bullshit existence. And I mean bullshit. In fact, I have started realizing how similar dog breeding is to the dairy industry. This horrible, horrible dairy industry in which these baby calves deserve better. And meantime, where are you getting your dog? Where are you getting your best friend? These puppy mills, these breeders. Even if it's a breeder that doesn't fall under the category of a puppy mill, it's someone who reduced the miracle of life to a paycheck. And you've got mothers forced into pregnancy that carry children inside her womb and then have them taken away from her repeatedly. And that is her existence. And God knows what kind of conditions she lives in. I'm sure it ranges from nightmare to, the other nightmare, which is what people perceive of as a good life for a dog. And then there's the puppies. How do they begin life? Being taken from their mother and siblings. This is a social, very social species, mind you, a pack animal. And what do? We don't just take them from their families during their early development, but we put them into a life of isolation. And at least in many cases, they're alone. There aren't that many households with multiple dogs compared to single dog households. And then they aren't supposed to jump on you, and they aren't supposed to lick you. They aren't supposed to act excited. That means they're too hyper. They need discipline. They're supposed to be a robotic, obedient accessory to the new couch. And if they're lucky, they get to go outside and shit twice a day. The rest of the time, well, it's up to them to entertain themselves because they're entertained by the same things that we are, right? Like being on the computer and reading a book or watching TV and paying the bills and worrying about really important human things, which leads the dog to trying to sleep its life away and hold its bladder until the next opportunity that this incredibly loving human owner allows it to go outside and relieve itself, for fear of otherwise being physically punished by that same loving owner. Yep. Oh my God, man, you're way over the line, you ridiculous hippie. Yeah, I know. I just alienated myself from what few people were listening in the first place, right? Except for the fact that a dog's good life is what? I gave him shelter. I gave him food. I take him for a walk so he can go poop. So you just described the life that we give to people who fucked up. You just described the life of prisoners whom we are punishing. And that is good enough for an innocent animal, a loving animal, an animal that brings you endless joy, and you just call it love. Because why? Well, because it could be worse. It can always be worse, can't it? That's the amazing thing when it comes to these defeatist human arguments. We have set the standard so low in terms of how fucking terrible life can be for other creatures that you can always point to a worse scenario. And that's something to be proud of, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause that where some animals are kicked in the head and well, let's just say that it gets a lot darker than that. Dogs. Okay, let's talk about a great dog's life. Let's talk about a dog. Let's just go straight to me. There's a lot of gray area. There's the junkyard dog. There's the dog that's, tied to a chain in the back because that person believes, well, that's what a dog's for. It's a dog. It's just a dog. Which is, funny enough, the same thing we say about every other species that we want to treat like shit. Oh my God, can't believe you care about a cow. Can't believe you care about a chicken. It's just a chicken. And then, here comes the gold standard of how we're going to treat animals, and bam, immediately, it's just a dog. What's the matter with you? It's just a dog. So there's that dog chained to a post, laying on dirt, if it's lucky, probably laying on concrete under a burning sun without any water. And then you've got me, who still, even though I'm a very active person and I like the fact that my dogs and I both explore and enjoy nature, it keeps us both healthy. And I get outside way more than the average person, and I exercise way more than the average person. Still, those are moments in my day. The rest of the day is still dominated by this ridiculous robotic human life, and the dogs are forced to go along with it. Now, do my dogs love me? Yes. Do my dogs like being with me? Yes. Would they opt for us being out in the woods the entire day instead of coming back home after an hour? Goddamn right they would. They don't want to be sitting here inside. I mean, they appreciate a rest. They appreciate the good things that I give them. They appreciate that they're well fed and that they stay warm, etc. I'm not saying that my dogs would be better off starving or fighting for themselves, but I'm just saying the very, very best case scenario. Okay, that's a little arrogant. I'm not the best, but compared to that first example, I'm pretty good. And even then, my dogs still won't ever get to have sex. My dogs still never knew their mothers or their brothers or sisters. They had to overcome that, just like every dog. We don't even think about that, do we? It's so standard for us to treat the animals that we supposedly love so much. It's so standard for us to treat them so poorly that it doesn't even occur to us that maybe it's kind of fucked up to take babies from their mothers. It doesn't occur to us that removing organs from an animal's body might be detrimental to the animal. Oh, well, it's the responsible thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do, said the incredibly lazy people who don't care to have the responsibility of actually just watching their dogs. Seriously, just blurting out some horse shit like responsibility, it's the right thing to do, it's what you're supposed to do, is now the replacement for actually being responsible. All these people like, oh, yeah, we got to get them fixed. We got to get her fixed. We're going to take out her reproductive organs when she's just a puppy. We're going to cut his balls off when he's just a puppy. And no, we read that it's fine. It's good for them. It's good for them. It'll calm them down. It's good for them. It's good for them to remove organs. Those organs are there for the fuck of it. I'm sure they don't do anything important in the body, and don't limit it to just reproduction. I can't speak for women as much, but men, I'm sure you know that your testicles release hormones that are important for you beyond just the ability to reproduce. Yes? Do you think your organs might have something else to offer than the one focal function? I can see this in my dog and other dogs. We debated it. Look, I'm not saying that it didn't never cross my mind, because that's what you're told. It is drilled into our minds that that's what we're supposed to do. And, Each time came time for him to have his balls chopped off, we're like, how the fuck can we do that to him? I mean, we keep an eye on him. It's not like we just let him run off. I mean, maybe if we lived out in the country somewhere and people's dogs got to run free and be leashless and they might have a midnight romp with a dog that's in heat, okay, that would be a little irresponsible to let your dog go out and impregnate other dogs. But the vast majority of us don't live in that situation, do we? No. No, the vast majority of us are in houses, in neighborhoods where all the dogs are on a leash in the first place, and you couldn't let your dog run free if you wanted to because it would get hit by a car. If your dog is in a situation in which it impregnates another dog, that's on you. That's not on your dog. How the hell did you let that happen? Unless you're Hillbilly Joe with 20,000 acres and your dog and your next closest neighbor, miles away, dogs get together and have sex, then get the fuck out of here that you're being responsible. How about giving a shit about your animal's well-being and just keeping an eye on your dog and understanding that they're going to be pretty goddamn horny for a while, just the way humans are and just the way you mindlessly were as a teenager, and your dogs go through life at 7x the speed that we do. So when they go through that blip in time, be a little fucking patient. It's natural. Oh, well, I think I should chop his balls off. He's acting like he wants to have sex. She's acting like she wants to have sex. Well, the evil fucking bastards. Remove their organs. How unnatural. How unnatural. Or, oh, it'll calm him down. He won't be as excited. You mean you instantly want to subdue a puppy, an animal in its first year of life? You want it to just, oh my God, I don't know what's the matter with my dog. It's just hyperactive. It's so energetic. It's alive, motherfucker. It is experiencing the world that it just entered and everything new around it. And it has happiness and it has a desire to enjoy life and experience things and forgive us immediately for stealing him or her from her family. And what do? Oh my God, it needs to calm down. Oh my God, it's acting like it has a desire or a personality or it wants to be alive. Oh my God, can I get drugs for my dog? Oh, they do that now? Oh, fantastic. Then I won't ever have to take it on a walk. Yep, just, put onto our pets the same thing that we've done to ourselves. How many excuses do humans come up with now not to exercise? And taking drugs and pills and electric bicycles now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I would think it was cool if someone had gotten me one when I was a kid and I could zoom around at 30x the speed that is safe for me to be going without damaging other people. So how much exercise do you think dogs get under that species? A species that prides itself on finding ways not to exercise. And of course, and here's another species that desires to exercise. And now, well, too bad for you because you are owned by a species that does not want to exercise. Unless you are, one of those types, which seem to be a shrinking percentage of the population. Oh no. My dog doesn't want to go for a walk, said the incredibly morbidly obese person who doesn't want to go for a walk. Oh, no, my dog doesn't want to say hi to your dog, said the person who's overcome with their own fear and anxiety. Yes, just ignore the fact that your dog is wagging its tail and pleading desperately for a chance to socialize as it instinctually desires to do, and we deprived them of from the moment we took them from their mothers and then stuck them in a pen, a box, in a scary place where the sounds of other miserable animals bounce off the walls until, oh, here comes my savior, person that wants to take me home and try and make my life better than the fucking shit that its own species already subjected me to. And oh, I acted like I had a personality of my own. Now I'm getting returned to the kennel. And then we go to even more extremes. You've got your people that see dogs as a means of making money from fighting or the tough guy image, so they actually beat their dogs and get the dogs with the worst reputations just because they actually are going to get off on the image of owning that animal. It's not love. It's about using the animal for a different image, the same way that, like a Paris Hilton or whatever would stick a small dog inside of a purse. And then you go to the countries that eat dogs and torture dogs, which it just blows my mind. But what blows my mind worse is I can still remember a conversation with my cousin, who he lives in the middle of the United States, and I'm sure he thought he was saying the culturally correct thing. He said, well, I'm not going to judge someone else for their culture and what they want to do. I'm like, motherfucker. So what you see here on this soil is so abhorrently wrong that you would beat the pulp out of that person. If someone does it on other soil, that same act that triggered a nauseous, guttural, violent reaction from you is okay over there because of the word culture. Wrong is wrong, period. Now we're so scared of culture and being offensive and everything that we're afraid to criticize anyone. Well, that's what I'm doing today. I'm criticizing dog owners. And as long as humans can be as disconnected from these animals that we claim that we love, I'm going to use that as a beacon for how far we are from saving animals that we've been trained to think of as nothing but food. Obviously, changing my eating habits and becoming more honest with myself about all the bullshit I used to tell myself in order to continue doing the things I used to do has pulled back several veils of delusion that I believed while considering myself an intelligent person. I mean, what we can convince ourselves to believe is pretty crazy. And so that helped me start thinking differently. It helped me start to pay closer attention to the needs of all animals, not just dogs. But I also have a never-ending reminder here of how shitty we are, because the neighborhood I live in sounds like a dog kennel, and apparently no one gives a shit except for me. It's just another layer of white noise for these people. And it doesn't matter if the owners are home or not home. The level of ignoring the dogs is the same. And it just is a symphony of misery here. It's like these dogs I will hear when I wake up at 6 a.m. barking and pleading. And, it's not a happy bark. It's not an excited bark. It's not even a bark of warning. It's the same hollow fucking, and all it is, dear God, can someone acknowledge that I'm here? So, and then that just goes to the next dog and the next dog and the next dog, and they're all over. Everyone owns a dog now, I guess, because they don't really have to think about the responsibility level of caring for a dog, because no one does care for dogs anymore, and that's acceptable. So fuck it. Just get another living creature and add it to the house. Buy it a 200-pound bag of shit poison from Costco so that you don't have to, hurt your budget for the living creature you've decided to care for and then get surprised that it died of cancer while you fed it cancer nuggets. And, oh, the goddamn thing wants to go outside. Oh, the goddamn thing wants to go on a walk to poop. Oh, the goddamn thing doesn't pick up its own poop in the backyard. Oh my God, I have to pick up poop in a backyard. I'm required to give this dog a better life than living in its own shit in my stinky concrete hell of a backyard under a burning sun where I say that my dog had outdoor time. I mean, nobody gives a shit. There's just round the clock misery and barking and pleading here, and nobody fucking gives a shit. It's scary. I feel like I live in the Twilight Zone. is this what all neighborhoods are becoming, or did I just happen to move to the worst one on the planet? Because I feel like this is a increasing trend. And once again, this is the gold standard treatment of another species, of a non-human species. This is what other animals get to look forward to once we decide that raising them in darkness and not letting them move and beating them and prodding them and cutting them and right before we actually slaughter them, um, you know, when animals get to move up from that existence on this planet. I mean, what I just described is crazier than shit you see in a horror movie if it's about humans. But because it's a non human, it's just standard. What the hell? I mean, the level of denial that the quote unquote most intelligent species lives in to make ourselves comfortable with putting other living creatures in hell. It could be the dumbest animal on the planet. You know, I get tired of these intelligence arguments. Who gives a shit if it scores as the dumbest animal on the planet? It's not enjoying being tortured. And because it's not, fuck, I can hear it right now. I hear the goddamn dogs in my neighborhood right now, and it's been the same one for hours now. Hours. No animal wants to live its life that way. And it's so goddamn depressing. I have a soundtrack of depression. And that soundtrack are the pleas of animals that we treat well.